All right, welcome everybody. My name is Nadia Lutz, and I'm a traditional naturopath, and I also practice functional neurology. I had some pretty bad allergies, so sorry for the voice. I'm a smoker, and I'm not. We're going to go ahead and talk about something that I'm really excited about, and that's releasing emotions. I'm going to deal with three different things that I like to do: magnets, emotional well-being on the AO scan, and also essential oils. Just a quick disclaimer: this is not medical advice. What we're talking about, they're not medical devices. It's just intended for educational purposes only. If you have any serious questions about your emotional health, please reach out to your practitioner. All right, got that out of the way. All right, so why is it called Quantum Toolbox? Because I like to combine things so that you get the most out of everything you do. Since I practice functional neurology, I find the more ways you can find to wake up your brain, the better results that you will have. So why is it important to talk about emotions in general? We're kind of taught from a very young age not to express emotions, and that's kind of in general, right? In school, we're taught to sit down, not cry, not be angry, just to obey whatever the teacher's saying. And that goes for when we get on an airplane with kids, when we're in church, when we're in a restaurant with people. It's kind of what our society does. And so what happens is that we suppress those emotions, and they can turn into areas of pain, or it can turn into anxiety and depression and all sorts of other things. So our limbic system is the king of emotional regulation. You can see down at the bottom, right at the top of the brainstem, that's where we process emotion. And the logic is in the front of the brain, right? So it has to travel. Everything that we do in the brain goes up from the stem and goes forward. So it takes a little bit of time for us to process our emotions and then get forward, and then we can kind of regulate them and say, okay, what are we going to do about it, right? That's why we have like the 10-second rule. When we're really, really angry, like you shouldn't just like react right away. You have to like give it a little bit of time to decide what you're going to do. There's something called amygdala hijack, right? Amygdala is kind of your fight or flight center, and the big emotions are anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, and shame. So over time, when we just suppress these emotions, they can build into, it's like an onion, and they just build layer upon layer until all of a sudden you may have shoulder pain, right? And that may actually be a series of emotions in there, and it presents itself as pain. I first got into this, I had neurological Lyme. And so I kind of went down the very scientific path and, went back to school, went and got my functional neurology 5-year degree, went and got the traditional naturopathy. But I was finding that when people are chronically ill, there's a lot of emotions that go into it. And if you don't deal with those emotions, it's pretty difficult to heal. So this is probably my first venture into dealing with trapped emotions, and that's by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He came out with the emotion code. He has 2 different covers in the book. There's a white cover also, so don't be alarmed if it's in a different area. But basically, you can muscle test. You can ask your body questions, yes, no questions, and you can find out which emotions are trapped and where they're trapped. This kind of makes sense if you look at this, like when you have severe grief or you're crying or you're very sad, it tends to be in the lungs. And that makes sense because when you're super sad, it's difficult to breathe, right? You kind of feel compressed. Or something that's in your heart. It can be like a betrayal or abandonment or love unreceived. Or a good example is in the kidneys, right? If someone's in a car accident or they're very, very afraid of something, sometimes they lose their bladder, right? So the way he organized this, it does make sense if you kind of look at it and you think about how it can be trapped in an organ. So on a scan, this is actually what trapped emotions can look like. And when I first learned this, I was kind of a little shocked because I didn't really think of emotions being in a scientific area where it can actually show up on a scan. And we talked a little bit about this, but we can imagine trapped emotions in our body, and they can be represented in a ball as one emotion. And that's called kind of a heart wall. So sometimes if let's say in your heart, if you have love unreceived, you may have 10 or 11 trapped emotions inside of that. So it's like layers of onion, and it's a big ball there, and we kind of just need to release it. So what I like to do is, I'm not going to talk a lot about muscle testing, but I rely on muscle testing a lot to determine trapped emotions. On that chart, you can ask do I have a trapped emotion in column A and column B, odd rows, even rows, and you can kind of dive down into the trapped emotions. You can do muscle testing a lot of different ways. He goes into it in the book in detail, but the first step that most people do is a sway test, because that's the easiest. You can do a finger test. You can do finger and finger. You can do an arm test if you're in a by kinesiologist. There are so many different ways to muscle test. So that's kind of one way to find trapped emotions, but I'm going to show you how you can find some trapped emotions on the AO bioresonance scanner. And we have to remember, when releasing emotions, that intention is key, right? We're trying to set the intention that we're releasing sadness, we're releasing grief, we're releasing trauma, because our energy it flows where our intention goes. So this is the bioresonance scanner that I really like to use. I've used a number of different frequency devices, but I find this one is just easy to use, and we'll show you a few things it does. And for $149 a month, it's pretty amazing what it can do. You can do unlimited scans on unlimited amount of people. So the first thing that we think of on the scanner is inner voice. You basically talk for 12 seconds. And it gives you these 4 PDFs, and it also gives you songs that you can listen to. And it helps delete some trapped emotions and optimize your organs. Now, what I like to do is combine inner voice with using like a body code. So when we release trapped emotions, it can be done very easily by swiping from your chin over your head to the top of your neck. And for instance, the top emotion here under emotion says shame. That's the lowest vibration there is. So anytime you see shame popping up on your scanner, you want to make sure that you really get rid of that, because it's just going to mean you're going to be attracting more negative emotions and negative people. So I would simply say deleting shame, deleting shame, deleting shame. And if I'm muscle testing, I would test, did I delete it? And if I didn't get a yes, you might have to dive down a little bit deeper. Now, self-confidence isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? So instead of saying deleting, I would say optimize self-confidence, or increase self-confidence, right? So if it's a negative thing, you can delete it. And if it's something that you consider positive, you can optimize it or increase it. The next thing that pops up on the scanner is it shows the chakras that are in and out. Now, most people think of chakras is really kind of woo-woo, but they are just energy centers in our body. And if we think about our crown chakra, right, it's everything related in the brain. So it has to deal with migraines, all brain issues, mental issues, muscular disorders, skin disorders. And I really like to use essential oils when I am dealing with the chakras. So I have a little chart here if you want to screenshot it. Is this in the way? Are the people in the way, or can you get the whole thing? Okay. So you have the primary essential oils at the top, and you can add some secondary if you like on the bottom. You just want to make sure you have a really good quality essential oil. Remember, our skin is the biggest organ in our body, right? So I like to use therapeutic grade essential oils. Basically, if you walk into a box store, that's not therapeutic grade. Even if you're in a big chain that's linked to Amazon, it's not therapeutic grade. If you're in a smaller health food store, yes, possibly it is. And if you don't know which one to do, again, you can muscle test if you have that ability. Essential oils are really amazing, and they do go back to a scientific reasoning. You have all your cranial nerves here, and your olfactory bulb comes right to the frontal part right here, right where the frontal lobe is, which we talked about. It helps calm the emotions in the limbic system when you inhale them. It can release emotional trauma. It can increase the oxygen. It's capable of passing the blood-brain barrier, which is amazing. And it's capable of releasing every cell in the body in 20 minutes. So it's pretty amazing. it helps the release those neurochemicals, which can be part of the trapped emotions. You can also blend trapped emotions. I mean, the possibilities are endless, right? So for grief, you could do bergamot, lavender, frankincense, and cypress. If you don't like one of them, you could leave it out, right? There are plenty of different things. I have 5 books on essential oils and emotional regulation. So I'm not going to go any deeper than this on essential oils. Just know that I love using these in combination, right? So for instance, when you're listening to your inner voice, you could be also sniffing some essential oils or applying it behind your ears or on your throat if it's a throat chakra, right? Know that you can do that to make your brain pay attention. When you make your brain pay attention, you're more likely to be able to optimize some of those emotions. Now, we can't talk about mood health and emotions without talking about vitamins, right? B vitamins are critical. I've highlighted the ones that are really important. C, D, and K as well. I love the scanner because it tells you how you're doing that day. It's just a snapshot in time. So you can scan and you can see which ones you need to take. We also have a separate scan, which you can put your vitamins in there and it'll actually tell you, hey, you're low in B6 or you're low in B12. So you can save a little bit of money there. You don't have to take it every day. Also, minerals and amino acids are critical. You can go ahead and take a screenshot of this if you like. Magnesium, if I had to choose one of these, I would go with magnesium. It's pretty amazing. You can get it in a cream or a pill, or you can up your magnesium in your foods. But amino acids are also critical for brain health. And omega-3s are really nice because they coat the cranial nerves. So it helps you optimize your brain. So if someone has any severe emotional issues, I like to get them on a therapeutic dose, which is like 2 to 3 times what's recommended for a few weeks. And that can really help with the brain health. All right, another scan we have is the body systems. It's pretty amazing. This is a circulatory one. You can see on here that on the fourth one over, it says circulatory emotional causes. Right. So again, you can go delete shock, delete shock, delete shock, optimize stress or delete stress. You can use this as a way to release your emotions also. So this is saving people who aren't very confident in their muscle testing, right? These scans are telling you what to do. And at the bottom of this one, they're also giving you really good advice. Breathe clean air, exercise, eat healthy foods, healthy weight, and drink alcohol in moderation. And take a quick sip. Now, something I love is we can make homeopathic remedies, right? And if we look in our section under homeopathic and we click on by symptoms, there are so many options for emotions. They have one for depression, stress, anxiety, grief, sadness, and you can see the Ignatia came up for that. You can either imprint it into something. You can imprint it into water, into your essential oils, into your rings, or you can broadcast it to you. You have emotions general. You have stress, sleeplessness, anxiety, grief. You can just pick the one that kind of speaks to you. We also have these little acupuncture dots. So you can actually put them, imprint them into the acupuncture dot, and it shows you where to put them. There's a little pictures that show you where to put them. So it's pretty amazing. And then over on the far side, I love this. They have it based on organs, right? I don't know if you've seen that or not, but it's pretty amazing. So like we have heart by emotions, liver by anger, lungs by grief, brain by stress, stomach by worry. So these are fabulous. And so let's just take anxiety over here. You can see there are a number of homeopathic remedies listed. When I click scan, it will put them in order that's best for you at that moment in time. So you can choose to scan all of them into whatever you're imprinting or just one or two. Now we kind of have to talk about polarity if we're talking about emotions and deleting trapped emotions. When your polarity is off, it basically means you have the gas and the brake on at the same time and you're not going anywhere, right? You're kind of spinning. And the reason I bring this up is people who are in fight or flight a lot, they tend to have their polarity off. So it's really important to get the polarity back online because any healing modality that you do, if your polarity is off, you won't get as much benefit from it. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's acupuncture or this scanner or anything. You're just going to be spinning your wheels. So this is one of the things I like to do for polarity. There are many different things. You can also take a stainless steel spoon and you can do a figure 8 on the bottom of your foot, and that can bring you into polarity. But if you muscle test, you can simply ask, is my polarity in check? Is it good right now? Or do I need to do something about it? So if you hear people say, this doesn't work for me, it was working for everybody else, this is kind of my first thought. Their polarity might be off. And then the second thought is, are they hydrated? Because energy, we need a pretty good hydration for all of these frequencies to work and for energy to be up. If we're dehydrated, it'll be hard. Here's some frequency playlists that I like overall to help with emotional regulation. You can feel free to screenshot this. We've got a chakra playlist. I like to do energy clearing, do the chakras, or a builder, an energetic shield. I have a good vibes one and the vagus nerve one. We haven't talked a lot about vagus nerve, but vagus nerve is critical in optimizing things because it goes from the brainstem, we saw that picture, behind the throat, and attaches to all the organs. So it really can help. If anyone wants any vagus nerve videos, you can go out to my YouTube channel, or you can shoot me an email and I'll send you one. I have 4 free videos out there on the YouTube channel, but it's critical to upregulate your vagus nerve if you're having a lot of emotional issues, right? Real simple things like humming, singing, gargling, using essential oils, using vibration. The videos I have kind of build on each other, but it can make a huge difference trying to delete these emotions and keep them away. Another thing we have, which is just amazing, is we can make quantum flower remedies. Very similar to Bach flowers, but we call them quantum flowers. And it identifies which one, you can press scan and identifies the one that it thinks you should take for the day. You can imprint it into water, you can drink it, you can imprint it into jewelry, or you can broadcast it, any of them. Now, there are other complementary modalities that work really well. Acupuncture, I absolutely love. Breathing exercises, that's part of that vagal nerve work, right? Breathing in and out your nose, that helps calm the vagus nerve, help calm the central nervous system. If you can find a really, really good chiropractor, I think I read one study saying between 60 and 80% of emotions can be downregulated by someone who really knows what they're doing, right? If you have any blood flow that's restricted. You want to find someone doesn't want you to come back every single week, right? That's going to kind of dive down into the root of it. Exercise can be great. We've all heard that, right? If you're feeling down, and just get out in nature, ground and exercise, meditation, relaxation, progressive relaxation, tapping. I love to do tapping. So let's just say, let's say my third eye chakra was off. I might put some essential oil on there. I might listen to my inner voice and I might tap. Right? So I like to combine a lot of these things in one. Animal therapy, yoga, tai chi, vagus nerve stimulation, and then using the vitamins and minerals to get that smart supplementation, not just throwing something at it, but really kind of targeting the supplementation. So that's kind of what I have for you today. Do we have any questions?
Nadia, on the slide that you had in the beginning showing where the emotions were in the body, what kind of tool was that displayed that?